Purpose of this video is to step through the different screens that a volunteer coordinator would see and to discuss various options you have in the internal site or the internal portion of the ABR site. I've got myself signed in currently as a volunteer coordinator. I have that on this screen. In this screen here, I also have an email account that we'll come over to and take a look at in a second. But here's what you have in the menu or the navigation section of for the internal site for a volunteer coordinators sign-in purposes. In any event, first of all, there's a volunteer video which is available to all volunteers to see an explanation of the external site and the internal site from a volunteer's perspective. It's got a lot of basic information on some things on the external site, which is good to see as well. Then we will add in here a volunteer coordinator video shortly. Account here is where everyone has this option, which is to go and make changes to your. This is test information. This is on the test database still, but anyone has any volunteer has a chance to go in and update. And they really should, particularly the first time they sign in, update their personal information, make sure it's all the addresses and email addresses and phone numbers are all correct. And it's just basically like the application, and they then update it. Should they change their email address, then and a notification of the change of an address from one to another email then goes out to the people that manage the constant contact for ABR and also some of the other lists. So the volunteer doesn't have to worry about notifying all those folks, just has to remember to go in and make the change themselves and then to submit the updates. So everyone has that option. Everyone has the ABR internal homepage, and that's where I started from here. And you can go and take a look at a dog here. As a volunteer coordinator, you can't add a dog and you can't change a dog. Only the page manager and the volunteer editor can make changes to a dog's records. And only a page manager can actually move a dog from one region or one station to the next, like pending to public to adopted, that sort of thing. There's a list of the administrative roles. Currently, it's just the roles for those working on the website, but just a description. This is really for new volunteers so they understand what state coordinator does and what they can do on the site. That sort of thing, real basic. And then I think that's about it for, then there's the volunteer documents, which are very near and dear to the heart of a volunteer coordinator. And this is the regular contract and that for a minor. You may want to add other things later on. I don't know. And then we'll go backwards here, back to the internal homepage. Transport request, I don't know if that's still used, but that's there. And that's basically it. Then you can go through there's two different kinds of volunteer searches, and your capabilities here are almost the same, just a little bit more capable in terms of options comparative to the state coordinator. And that's intentional. They're both made so you can see all the applications and the folks and discuss it between yourselves and approve new volunteers and so forth as you wish. This is a real quick volunteer search. If someone's just looking for an email address or something, this is probably the quickest thing. And you can just go through here and put in what you know, maybe in the state of Washington or here might put in Gary and just see, and it go looking for that particular person. Is presented in a little more open reporting format. So here you can see all the people with Gary in their name. It just searches text-wise for, and here, well, I've got a couple of them in here for test purposes. But, and it also, I forgot, marks them as inactive if they're inactive, otherwise they're active. And then you can go, and you have the ability, you can go edit the profile if you wish, but you have an email. It's a quick way to get an email address and go from there. And again, this is test data. This isn't my real email address. The other way to search is here with the volunteer reports, which is what you'll use more often, I think. And this is the meat of the whole thing. And let's say someone just put in a new volunteer application. When that happens, I'm going to switch over to the email account here. This is a test email account. When someone puts in a new application, 3 emails go out. 2 of them look identical here. And they're basically because one's going to Diane and one's going to the state coordinator for the particular state relative to that application. And these 2 are the same in terms of information. One, this represents the fact that there really are 2 emails going out. So you see the 2 addresses that they went to. In both cases says John Doe just put in an application, it's time to get reviewed. And then John Doe actually gets one here, going to John Doe at test, and says, thanks for signing up. Applications need to be manually reviewed. We'll get back to you shortly. Signed, Diane. And so this is for test purposes, how we test to make sure the emails are in fact going out. And in this case, they go out and they come right back to a different, all into the same location so we can see them all in one location. So in the event, when that happens, then you know you have somebody in the pending area. And here's a report that you can see people by 2 different ways. First one is by their role within the organization. Are they currently a page manager, currently a board member, that sort of thing? Or you can find all the people in another way, which is, in this case, what you would do. And you can see you have one person in the pending state, if you will. And that is John Doe, who just applied. State of Washington, John Doe 118. Everyone comes in as a volunteer. Comes in as a volunteer, and the volunteer coordinator is the only one who can change that role. And the only one who can approve moving him from pending to approved status. So here's the person. You go over here and say, select, let me see more about this person. And then here is that same report. And it's just the same application, has all the information, shows if they're going to be like to be a foster, shows that information. And then it comes down to where they've signed. And then here's the information that you can change here and put them, what region they're in, what their start date is, that sort of thing. And then you can also change their status. This is status date. And you have the option. The state coordinator does not have these options here. They don't have the ability to change the roles. This one's very important. You can see here are the different roles that are available within the, these are roles in terms of the website. And so you get to control that. You're the only one that can make that change. Actually, the administrator, the web system website administrator can make those changes too, but you're the one that's supposed to. And you can change that person. If you change them to approved, then in fact, we'll do that. Let's just make them approved. Let's make that status date today. Make the start date today. Region, what state of Washington? Put in comments you like, and then you have the option to do one or two things. You can get a hard copy by exporting a PDF, an image of that particular application, and then you also have the option to update, and you get a notice that it's actually been updated, which means they've gone to approved, which then means when you go over here, in a second you will, let's go back to the internal volunteer table. Where is it? There we go. Now you see that pending is 0 and you're up 1 in the improved category. So that person got approved, and where'd it go? There it is. Well, I don't see the, where'd they go? New user account. Well, there should be an email there, and I'll check that, but they're there to get an email at that same time telling them that they were approved and how to go then and get their paperwork signed up and go from there. In any event, you also have that in this particular reporting situation, you also have the ability to sort on any of these columns, by state, to look up somebody or look up a group of people there. You can look up how many people haven't signed their caretaker. Well, here's a bunch that haven't. So you can decide whatever it is that you need to do about that. Same thing with the ethics code. You can, here's a bunch of people that have signed, but then there's a whole bunch of people that haven't. And look at status based on approved, inactive, whatever you're looking for there. So it's very flexible. You can look at this information from a variety of ways. You can also search for a specific name or search for a specific, I think you could do address, I suppose, in here. I don't know. And you also have the option to export whatever you're seeing here, whatever list of people. It could be those that are inactive. You could export that list to review separate from the system, and work it into an Excel sheet or however you want to use that. Use it for a mailer, use it for a picnic, that sort of thing. So the only other things are the individually you can reset your password and obviously log out. But internally, that's what you see, and I hope it's been helpful.